Before we start, I just want to point two things out. First, this edible got me feeling really right now. And secondly, I've compiled all of my thoughts into a script, and I'm going to be reading the script during this entire series. So if I'm not looking at the camera, it's not because I'm disengaging or I'm disingenuous. It's because I'm reading, because I value y'all's time, and I hope y'all value mine, because baby, the amount of shit I put into this. But anyway, just wanted to say that. Hello everyone, it's BubzDaGawd here. I want to take a moment to sincerely thank you for tuning in. This is my first significant passion project on this channel, and I truly appreciate your support as I navigate this sensitive yet artistic endeavor. Over the last few weeks, I've devoted my time delving into some of the intricate issues that affect the gay community, particularly the Black gay community. This project is also a personal journey for me, as I intend to expose myself, share some of my own life stories, and trust me, there are plenty to share, to hopefully create a connection and make this experience relatable. Because at the end of the day, community is essential as we progress together. I also understand that some may attempt to twist my narrative, to fit their own misguided fear-based views. And to those individuals, I say, you. But seriously, I encourage them to embrace self-love and recognize their inherent value. Yes, the next 4 years will test us, ultimately revealing our true selves. It may be uncomfortable, and not everyone will like what they find. However, when confronted with the truth, no matter how intimidating it may be, it's crucial to love ourselves through all of it. Only love can help us not just survive these trials, but also come out stronger on the other side. And now that a leprechaun got y'all curiosity piqued and I invite you to embark on this journey with me. Is y'all ready or is y'all ready? And if you ready, I need you to go ahead and spark it on up. For thou hast possessed my reins, for thou hast covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. My substance was not hid from thee when I was made in secret and curiously wrought in the lowest parts of the earth. Thine eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect. And in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them. How precious also are thy thoughts unto me, O God. How great is the sum of them, if I should count them. They are more in number than the sand. When I awake, I am still with thee. I am fearfully and wonderfully made.
I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am fearfully and wonderfully made.
Fearfully.
Abomination.
Sinner.
Destruction. Heal.
Wonderfully made. On June 22nd, 1991, my adventure began with the arrival of a lively 7-pound, 3-ounce bundle of joy named Bub. Right from the start, I entered this world like a dazzling firecracker, showcasing my true spirit and bringing with me a burst of creativity and a mission to uplift humanity in my own distinct way. My childhood was enveloped in the warmth of caring parents who genuinely loved their children, navigating life with the wisdom they possessed at the time. However, let's be honest, no amount of preparation can truly equip you for the unexpected turns life has in store. And trust me, life certainly threw some mother my way. My parents followed societal expectations, raising me with the intention of instilling values they believed were important. Like many kids, I spent endless hours captivated by Disney classics such as Toy Story,
Say, isn't that mistletoe?
The Lion King, Hercules,
You have any problems with things like this?
and so many others. Our home resonated with the sounds of great music, featuring hits from The Whispers,
Just like my love everlasting. Oh,
Anita Baker,
I bet everything on my wedding ring.
and R. Kelly.
Just a little bump and rhyme.
Before the shit happened, affection was a staple in our household. My parents openly expressed their love, whether through matching outfits or slow dances to their favorite song, even though my mom often needed a gentle push to join in sometimes. I don't want to dance. Their kisses elicited plenty of playful ew from my sister and me, but deep down inside, we recognized the love they shared. The evolution of their relationship, honestly, has become the blueprint for the kind of love I aspire to find one day. We also were a family that attended church regularly. Specifically, we were Baptists. Sunday mornings were always a whirlwind as we scrambled to get ready for service. When we arrived, I often felt the curious stares of girls my age. See, there was one girl in particular who would often complain to her mother, "Why won't he be my boyfriend? Why?" Her expression was one of fierce resolve, radiating a strong, "you're mine, Nikki Parker, hey, professor," type of energy. Yeah. Shouldn't she be keeping her distance to avoid cooties? Remember that? To add a humorous twist, I had a delightful church girlfriend who was well into her 40s. Her husband would jokingly say,
Don't you dare try to steal my honey.
Seriously, sir. My balls haven't even dropped yet, sir.
and before anyone jumps to conclusions with those tired-ass stereotypes of, "Oh, so that's how you became gay," let me clarify. They never played a role in my life, okay? I was raised in an environment that was as straight as they come. Overwhelmingly heterosexual in every aspect. From family dynamics to the media I consumed, everything was steeped in heterosexuality. I genuinely empathize with those who have, unfortunately, faced sexual abuse, and I sincerely hope they find healing and move towards more positive experiences, because life is indeed worth living, which includes embracing a healthy, affirming understanding of sexuality. But sexual abuse, that's not my narrative. And just to be clear, I'm not a fan of grits, so the whole gay grits concept, no, not for me pimping. My first exposure to gay came in high school, which is amusing since I thought I was just missing out on a rite of passage, right? Let's not pretend that adult men aren't having inappropriate sexual discussions with young boys. I've heard plenty of it in church, definitely in barbershops, and it's prevalent in today's online world. I mean, hello, just look at DJ Academics, Andrew Tate, and the Hodge twins, just to name a few. Their comment sections tell the complete story. So let's be honest and call it what it is across the board. You all claim to be protecting the children, right? And even though I was navigating a world dominated by a heterosexual perspective, there was an undeniable voice within me. Sometimes a whisper, sometimes a roar, telling me that I was different. See, back then, the portrayal of queerness was as appealing as a late night extra greasy meal from a one-star diner. okay? Full of disgust, rejection, and secrecy, served on a greasy-ass platter. As a boy who embraced his femininity at the time, I was met with society's harsh realities, receiving an unwanted education in its judgments. It would take me years to untangle those toxic messages, often thinking, wow, I really jumped into this roller coaster ride without a guide. Little did I realize that my journey towards self-love and acceptance would unfold like a dramatic twist in a soap opera, filled with eye rolls and moments that made me question my own reality. Choosing to embrace my identity in a world so quick to forget is akin to trying to teach a cat to fetch. It's a challenge. Yet, deep within, I've always felt a connection to my authentic self, a constant source of encouragement reminding me that I'm fabulous just the way I am, regardless of outside opinions.
He makes me say, yeah.
The first time I truly recognized the feelings of being different was around the age of 7 or 8, sparked by a crush on one of my childhood friends, whom I'll refer to as OG. To me, OG, that time, was one of the most stunning individuals I had ever encountered. I recall wishing he could be my boyfriend, and to my astonishment, that dream would eventually come true. Our favorite pastime was playing with the G.I. Joes. He would bring his collection over to my house, and we would stage epic battles between our action figures. One day, during one of these intense showdowns, I accidentally broke the head off of his beloved G.I. Joe with snake eyes. He was furious. In a flash, he lunged at me, and we found ourselves wrestling. He was taller and stronger, quickly pinning me down. As he sat on me, he locked eyes with me, and after a few tense moments, he kissed me. Then he kissed me again and again, and by the fourth kiss, I found myself kissing him back. We slipped under my bed and began to make out, and in that safe space, I finally mustered the courage to confess my feelings. To my surprise, he admitted he felt the same way. We decided to be each other's secret boyfriends, even though I didn't fully understand what the being in the closet meant at that age. Unfortunately, our relationship was short-lived as OG moved away later that year. At the age of 9, I had another encounter with that elusive feeling. It unfolded during a church service where a guest pastor was invited to deliver the sermon on that particular Sunday morning. For those familiar with the customs of the black church, you know that there's often a musical selection to kind of like set the mood before the pastor takes to the pulpit. This time, the one performing was the pastor's son, a boy we'll call A. A radiated a familiar energy that stirred something within me, reminiscent of the feelings I had experienced with OG. A was not just any singer. He could sing, okay? Pouring his heart into every note.
This is the day that the Lord has made.
After the service, I eagerly dashed toward the front doors, hoping to catch a glimpse of A. Just then, he appeared alongside his father, who paused to engage with some church folks, soaking in their praises for his sermon. Our eyes met, and in that moment, felt like we shared a secret connection. With Pokemon being all the rage, I decided to break the ice by showing him my collection of cards. To my delight, A revealed that he had his own stash, boasting an impressive array of shiny holographic cards, while I was stuck with a handful of basic starter ones. Our conversations took on a more flirtatious tone, but it seemed his father sensed the chemistry between us. He abruptly ended his chat with the members, took A's hand, and they made their way to the car, leaving me with a flutter of nervousness and a hint of longing. Society often perpetuates a culture that forces queer individuals, including young gay children, to hide their true selves and remain in the shadows. This can lead to profound emotional distress, particularly for those who may express themselves in ways that are perceived as feminine, transgender, or simply different from societal norms. While heterosexual children are typically allowed to explore their feelings of affection and experience the innocence of puppy love without fear, many gay children are denied this fundamental aspect of growing up. And as a result, these children may internalize a damaging belief that they are unworthy of love, whether from God, their friends, families, or potential romantic partners, leading to a deep sense of isolation and unworthiness that can last a lifetime. And if y'all want a separate story time of my DL childhood experiences, let me know in the comments below. The subtle and insidious homophobia I encountered in my early years was perplexing. Like, why were certain individuals making cutting comments about me? I was simply a bright, affectionate, lively, and imaginative child who aimed to bring joy and laughter to those around me. However, by the time I turned 10, I began to quickly understand the harsh reality of homophobia. It was evolving into something much more blatant and aggressive. This overt hostility began to take a severe toll on my physical, mental, emotional, psychological, and most painfully, spiritual well-being. The first time I heard the term fag was during a church service. It was Men's Day, and the guest preacher was delivering a passionate sermon to the congregation. As he grew more animated, he suddenly shifted his focus to homosexuality and its supposed consequences. He thundered out Leviticus 20:13. If a man also lie with mankind, as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. He concluded with a fiery warning. If you're on this holy ground and you're a homosexual, a sissy, a punk, a faggot, and you don't repent of that sinful, abominable lifestyle, God's judgment and wrath will rain down upon you. If you don't want the judgment of AIDS to rain down upon you, I need you to run down here right now asking, what must I do to be saved? That sermon lingered in my mind. I didn't fully understand its weight at the time, but it left a mark. On the drive home, I asked my dad what a faggot was. He explained that it referred to a man who desires another man. And in that moment, fear crashed over me like a tidal wave. I realized that the preacher was condemning people like me. And if you're interested in hearing about the times I thought I had AIDS after that car ride discussion, let me know in the comments down below. I further witnessed the harsh treatment of gay men within the church community. There was a guy named R, a light-skinned individual with a wavy ponytail who dressed in flamboyant, form-fitting clothes. He spoke with a pronounced lisp, girl, but had a voice that could captivate anyone, reminiscent of, Chico DeBarge and Whenever he performed a solo, the majority of the congregation would be moved to tears, while a few others exchanged disapproving glances, muttering snide remarks and offering backhanded compliments. They went to great lengths to question him every Sunday about his lack of a girlfriend, even attempting to set him up with single women they knew. R would graciously decline, always responding, "God will send the right one when the time is right." When the time is right, See, it's interesting how people often refer to him as an on-time God, but honestly, I need something more tangible right now to understand R's nature. See, I'm looking for that familiar image of the white, straight-haired Jesus. The one that hung on the wall at Big Mama's house? Yeah, him, rather than that ass shit Kuta Kente version of Jesus. He's too late for me. On this particular Sunday, because it always seems like something goes down on Sundays, right? Maybe because it's not the true Sabbath. But anyway, once the service wrapped up, the pastor took to the mic and asked Art to stay behind while the rest of the congregation moved to the fellowship hall downstairs. After waiting for a while, my dad, with him being a deacon, he had to stick around. I got curious and decided to sneak up to the balcony seating in the sanctuary on the 3rd level. As I climbed the steps to the 2nd level, R suddenly burst through the vestibule doors, sobbing uncontrollably. And I mean, it was a full-on ugly cry. I'm talking about red face, snot everywhere. I was worried and asked him what was wrong, but he just said, "I'm sorry, but I can't talk about it," before running out of the building. When I got home, I overheard my dad telling my mom what had happened. Apparently, someone had seen R at a gay bar and informed our pastor. They confronted him, giving him an ultimatum: choosing Jesus and abandon his sexual identity or leave the church. That was the last time I ever saw R. And if anyone is interested in hearing more about the homophobic experiences I encountered in church, let me know down below. 5th grade is when I first encountered the harsh reality of blatant, aggressive, and physical homophobia. It was during a class discussion where we shared our weekend adventures. After I recounted mine, someone hurled the word faggot at me. Without a moment's pause, I instinctively shot back. So, the room fell into a heavy silence before erupting into thunderous laughter. That moment, despite realizing what I just said and trying to clean it up, marked me with a stigma that would linger. I vividly recall one afternoon after school, making my way to the parking lot away from my mom. As I walked, one of my bullies fell into step beside me, matching my pace. Suddenly, he unleashed a brutal punch that sent me reeling. I was able to understand why doves cried. I could feel the sonic rings being knocked out of me. I crumpled to the ground like Money Mike when Damon caught him off guard in the bathroom. And even though this person was one of my premier bullies, he also projected some homoerotic shit onto me as well. And if you want a story time about that, let me know down below. Another painful memory was during dodgeball games. Yeah, those relentless bullies would always zero in on me, right? You know, launching the ball with the force of a Kamehameha wave straight at my face. Can you imagine the sting of a dodgeball hitting you squarely in the face time and time again? And if you're interested in hearing about my experiences with bullying, let me know down below. Facing homophobia from both peers and fellow Christians was incredibly hurtful. However, that pain was nothing compared to the traumatic encounter I had with my father. Back then, we had a device called Web TV, which allowed us to surf the internet through our television. I often overheard my male classmates discussing in See, I was still figuring out my own feelings about adult content, but curiosity got the better of me. After school, I decided to explore using Web TV. I clicked on the first link that caught my eye, which turned out to be a gay site. As the page loaded, I was confronted with the sight of 2 naked men, their bodies intertwined. Just then, girl, my dad walked into the room. When he saw what was on that screen, he completely lost it. He yanked the keyboard away from me, shoved me against the wall, and shouted, "I'm not raising no faggot." After that, he let me go and ordered me to my room. That moment shattered me. My relationship with my dad deteriorated after that incident. I felt I couldn't share anything with him. Occasionally, he would attempt to, have deeper conversations, but I was emotionally closed off. I somewhat understood that I might lose friends and connections at church. The thoughts of losing my parents' love was unbearable. Imagine believing that a part of yourself, one you struggle to comprehend, is despised by God, your family, your friends, and even strangers. Acknowledging it felt like risking everything. That kind of mindset can push anyone to the brink, and I was nearly there.
Protect me from the bad things. It's monsters under my bed, and they keep messing with my head, and I swear I hate them, but I made them.
By the time I hit 7th grade, I felt utterly exhausted. My mental state was crumbling, my grades were slipping, and I found myself constantly praying for divine intervention, hoping to be rescued from the terrifying specters of AIDS and eternal damnation. One fateful day, the notion of ending it all crept into my mind and refused to leave. It was the 6th hour of the day. Our school operated on 7 one-hour blocks, and I was slumped at my desk, the thought echoing louder with each passing moment. Seeking refuge, I made my way to a secluded round table tucked behind a row of lockers. I rested my head on the table and let the tears flow. A teacher's aide noticed my distress and approached me.
Are you okay, sweetheart?
She asked gently, placing her hand on my shoulder. shoulder. The moment I felt her touch, the floodgates opened and I sobbed uncontrollably. She tried to soothe me, but all I could manage to repeat was my desperate wish to escape this life. The school called my mom to come pick me up, and when I shared my feelings with her, she enveloped me in the warmth of her love, which brought a flicker of comfort and made me feel understood. However, that solace was fleeting, as I knew I had to face my dad next, and I braced myself for a less compassionate reaction. Later that day, the whole family piled into the car, dropped my mom off at work, and I knew it was time to share my truth with my father. After I opened up about my dark thoughts, he immediately shifted the blame to the video games I played. This is my fault. I let you play those M-rated games, and now you're thinking about ending your life? No more of those games for you. There was no, let's talk about this, son, or come here, let me show you I care. Just a fixation on video games. That moment solidified my descent into that dark mindset. That evening, my dad and sister headed out to get dinner, while I chose to remain at home, lost in thought about how to escape this place. I mused to myself, maybe it's for the best that you're gone. The weight of despair pressed down on me, and I thought anything would be better than this life I never asked for. I found a bottle of Tylenol, which seemed to be the simplest solution, and settled on my father's side of the bed to take some. I was low-key gripped by a paralyzing fear of choking, and if you're curious about that, let me know down below. And instead of swallowing the pills whole, I chewed each one carefully. By the time I reached the third pill, suddenly a wave of warmth, calm washed over me, and tears began to flow. It felt as if my soul was purging itself of all the pain. Then I heard a small voice whisper to me, "Don't worry, Bubs, they did this to me too," the words echoing louder with each repetition. I put the pills away and returned to my room, reflecting on the whirlwind of emotions I had just experienced. Later that night, I came to a profound realization. What had happened was a stark reminder of the truth that, despite what others believed or wanted to about me, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Organized religion often employs the Bible as a tool to instill fear, coupled with societal expectations that pressure gay boys and men into conforming to a narrow definition of masculinity. This oppressive environment can have fatal consequences, and while I managed to survive my own suicide attempt, unfortunately, many other young black gay boys have tragically lost their lives. A year after my experience, a childhood friend and fellow gay boy, T, took his own life, discovered by his mother in a heartbreaking scene. It raises the question, why does it take such a tragic event to remind those who should have offered love and support, that they should have done so while the person was still alive? In today's world, if we fail to nurture and affirm all children, including those who identify as queer, we risk seeing suicide rates continue to climb. And to the individuals who weaponized suicide statistics against the queer community, maybe they should strive to be open-minded and empathetic and spiritually engaged, taking the time to understand and connect with these individuals. See, it's time to move beyond mere words and embody the compassion that Jesus exemplified. After I finished 8th grade,
See, I wanna fly away.